How's it going, guys? Matt and Jackson here from the Toasty Bros, and today we bring you the $300 gaming PC.
Let's get right into it, shall we? Alright guys, so the core of this build is a used parts PC that we actually made a lot of videos on, but basically the core of it is an i7-2600, 8 gigs of RAM, and an Asus motherboard that's readily available on eBay that can fit the i7-2600. Now this whole combo costs roughly about $100-150 if you do some deal hunting. It is a micro ATX motherboard, and I've used this motherboard a lot in a bunch of used PC builds, and it's going to make great for the core part of this PC. Now the graphics card is a very interesting story. We started a deal hunting page over on Twitter called Toasty Deals, and we found this on EVGA B stock for $90. $90 for a 1050 is actually really good, and this slots in perfectly with a $300 budget PC because it's not too expensive and delivers a lot of performance, and it's manufactured and refurbished by EVGA, so it's very reliable. Now to cool that i7-2600, Sytche was nice enough to send over their SCKTT-1000 cooler. It's kind of like a Hyper 212-esque cooler, normal tower cooler, and it's not really necessary for this build. You could opt for just the stock cooler if you want to save costs, but in this case we decided to because the company sent it over. We might as well give it its run for the money and see how well it can cool the i7-2600. Now for storage, you could go a multitude of ways if you wanted to. This right here is an OCZ Vector 180. Yeah, this is an old school OCZ drive before they became Toshiba, but nonetheless, this is a 240GB SSD, and it's going to be plenty fine for a boot drive and being able to load a couple games into this. You can always opt to get a 1TB hard drive if you want to add extra storage, but we always recommend getting an SSD on lower end builds because it kind of brings a newfound life to them, especially when they're starting to show their age a little bit. Now for the power supply, we have the EVGA 500 watt. This is 80 plus white, which is the entry-level rating from the 80 plus certification, and it is, well, a 80 plus white power supply, 500 watts, and it's not really modular or anything, it has a bunch of cables coming out of it, but it's very affordable at around $30 readily on Amazon, so this will work perfectly for the build. Now the case for this build is a highly requested case from a lot of you out there. This is the AeroCool Cylon, which comes with some RGB accent lighting and only costs $30, readily available on Newegg and Amazon. And what we're going to be doing with this case is upgrading it with some of these fans that were sent over to us. These are the Cool Moon RGB fans. They're like the typical budget RGB fans you can find on places like AliExpress or sometimes on Amazon and Newegg, and they look really good from the pictures. We're going to be trying them out inside this case. Again, it's an additional aesthetic upgrade and not required for all-out performance, but it will be thrown into this build, and I'm ready to get this thing together. Let's do it. is now the next day, and we have the PC in-house ready to be benchmarked. So what we're going to be doing is testing a couple games, doing the live benchmark method, meaning that I'm just going to be playing the game and giving you my report of how the game plays, give you some up-to-date FPS numbers from the corner of the screen, and just give you all some live feedback. Instead of giving you a list of numbers of things like 1% and 0.1% lows, you can actually see good representation of how this PC performs and see if there's any way I can get a win in Fortnite. Probably not, but it's worth a shot. Now, as far as settings go, right now I'm rocking a far view distance with everything else off on low. That is kind of like the go-to pro settings for Fortnite. In the waiting lobby right now, we're getting around 100 down to like 70 FPS. It's all over the map, really. The best idea for these kind of performance numbers would be for me to limit the frame rate, limit it to about like, let's say 60 FPS if I want to lock it in, especially if I'm on a 60 Hertz monitor. I know for sure it would be pretty much close to being locked at 60 FPS all the time if I had it limited at 60 FPS. But for this video's sake, we're going to leave it at what it is right now and just kind of let the frame rate flow as is and get us in some real world scenarios. I know I mentioned this before, but it'd be really cool if we could actually get like a tech YouTuber Fortnite tournament. I know that sounds kind of weird because we're not all good at Fortnite, but you know, it'd be kind of cool to see who has Fortnite skills behind the scenes and who wastes too much time playing Fortnite. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into Tilted Towers real quick. This is a good place to really stress the CPU because a lot of people show up here and we're gonna really see what this GPU can handle. So this is a GTX 1050 and for my testing, it plays Fortnite normally around 1080p medium settings. The big key here is to see if the i7-2600 is able to hold up. Now flowing in here, it does seem like we're getting a ton of people into Tilt. It doesn't seem to be the crazy good drop that it once was. Let me drop onto this tower right here, see if I can get a gun real quick before anyone else. Nope, we're going to move another way because we are going to get blasted if we did that. All right, let's move into here. Get the submachine gun. Ooh, see? He ain't no match for me. I got you. I got you, bro. All right, get some mats. Right now, I'm in a little building right now, but I'm randomly hitting 200 FPS on these settings. So honestly, with this kind of PC, you could easily run a higher refresh rate monitor at like 120 Hertz and actually see some benefit from it. Why am I getting gunshots at me? Oh, that didn't work very well. But hey, as you can tell, performance numbers from Fortnite is pretty solid. So how about we switch over to another game? Now, while I wait for some games to download, I wanted to do an IDA64 stress test of this i7-2600 CPU. Now, the i7-2600 in this system cannot be overclocked, so we are kind of stuck at its 3.4 GHz boost clock, which is not all bad. It's perfectly fine for most games, and as we can tell with the cooler we have on it, which is from Sytche, it is doing pretty well at staying cool in what I like to consider a pretty hot environment. My room gets very hot in here, and under an IDA64 stress test, as you can tell, after running it for a period of time, I've already run this before, so I know roughly the temperatures. We're peaking out at around 50 degrees Celsius, a little over that. Those are really solid temperatures for an i7-2600, especially the fact that it really doesn't need much more than a stock cooler, but on stock cooler, I was getting roughly about 70 to 80 degrees Celsius. So keeping it nice and cool can definitely help expand its lifespan and allow us to turn the RPMs down of the fan to keep the system much quieter than what it would have been if the Intel stock fan was on. Alright, the next game I have up is of course PUBG, and the settings that we're going to be using is of course 1080p, but we are using very low settings for anti-aliasing and post-processing. The screen scale is going to be set to 100%. Let me put that on there. That's 101, 100. We'll hit apply on that. It's at 100%. We are running on medium settings on the textures and high for view distance. That should give us a pretty even out experience on this system overall. We'll be playing third person mode, which is kind of the typical mode to play in during PUBG, and we're gonna load into a game real quick and see what kind of performance we can get in game. Now on this wait screen, we're gaining around 69, 70, 67, 68-ish FPS. That's what we're rocking right now. The FPS is running around and stuff's still loading into the scene, so I expect it to probably dip a little bit more as the game goes on, and you can pick up apples apparently in this game and throw apples at people at the start menu. This is interesting, I guess. All right, so we're doing a flyover right now, and we're about 80, 82 FPS. It looks pretty solid right now. We'll see what it is when we drop in, but normally this scene is pretty laggy. I'm not sure what PUBG has done with their optimization. Normally there is a big frame drop compared to other scenes in the game, but we're gonna drop into what's called Ruins. I have not played this game in a while, and this is the new map, so I haven't played it before. Okay, here it is. Now that we're getting ready to hit the bottom, around 20 to 30 FPS. We did hit a dip, which is to be expected, lowering down here, but right now it's not that important if we're getting 30 FPS because we're just dropping in. There's nothing else besides us dropping. So now textures are loading in, and we're at about 50 FPS. I already got a gun, so that's a good sign. Good job, Matt. I don't know the commands for this game. Is it this? Boom, there it is. Let me get this as well. I'll take this gladly. I'm at 60 or so FPS. I do not have my headphones plugged in for this game because I like to live on the edge. Around 65 FPS, and I found somebody to kill. Got him. Ooh, got a kill. Good job, Matt. Oh, wait, whoa, there was someone above me? Oh, crap, I did not see that. But hey, performance seems pretty good in this game. I did not feel at any sort of disadvantage compared to everyone around me, and over 60 FPS on a 1080p 6Hz monitor, well, felt pretty damn good. So let's go test one more game real quick that we like to play, and it'll kind of give you a full roundabout of what we can expect performance-wise from this PC. Now, the last game we're going to be testing is The Forest. This is a game that we've been playing a lot recently and have been loving it a ton. And running this game at medium settings, getting close to 60 FPS is the ideal experience. And right now we're getting about 55 to 54 FPS. Now overall, with this PC, I know I can't test every game, but with this PC, you can most definitely play games like GTA 5 at medium settings. You can definitely play pretty much anything you want as long as you lower settings between medium and low, and in certain games, high settings. So for $300, this PC is a great value for the money, but let's throw it back to the outro real quick so we can finish this video up. Alright guys, so the build is complete, and if you're interested in the keyboard that was featured in this video, the Neon K81, link in the description down below, but I'll let Jackson talk about the specifics of this PC and some of the tweaking you could do to the budget.
So of course, the RGB fans aren't really included in this $300 budget because it does kind of throw the budget a little bit over, but if you want to have a really, really awesome looking PC, we were able to actually fit 4 of these RGB fans in there, and they look absolutely amazing. It comes with a little actual controller, which you don't see those too often. And it has a little hub that goes in the back of the PC wherever you want it, where you can do up to 10 of these RGB fans. So that's pretty awesome, and there's actually 6 included. We couldn't even use all of them because this case just isn't that big.
Yeah, exactly. And the RGB functionality of this case, the Cylon with the RGB strip that can change colors, you can't really see it that much in the video here, but you can see the B-roll footage. It looks really good, and for 30 bucks, you're getting a really good case. And if you're interested in any of the parts for this build, we'll leave links in the description down below to the best of our abilities for some of these parts. Some of them are used, some of them are new. It's a mixture of different stuff, but links in the description down below. And if you like this video, like the video, and consider subscribing if you want to see more content from us, and hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you all in the next one.